this is Dan Green, and welcome to the Greening Out podcast. And this is episode 3. Now we wanted to start this podcast because I wrote a blog this morning, and it was called "How the Mainstream Media Stole Your Compassion." And Caity had a read of it. And just to give a basic overview, if you go to greeningoutpodcast.co.uk and look in the show notes, you can find a link to the actual blog under Dan's blog. But just to give a quick overview, it was just about how I noticed that when I worked in... just to make this quick, when I worked for Asda, which was obviously owned by Wal-Mart...
Is owned by Walmart.
It was we watched a documentary together called Wal-Mart, The High Cost of Low Prices, and this was years ago. I
highly advise to Google that. It's an incredibly good documentary.
We'll add a link in the show notes so people can find it, And what was troubling to me was how people were treated in like China and Bangladesh and like factories that supplied to Walmart. And I remember going into work and saying like to people, don't you think that this is...
not okay?
Is this morally wrong? And let's just start there and let's just kind of go through the blog. So like I was surprised when a lot of people, when I said, do you think this is morally wrong, people were kind of like, well, nah, you know, it's your money and that. Or some people said, well, that's not good about those people in those sweatshops, but yeah, what are you going to do? As if because of the distance.
I think if you distance yourself far enough from anything, you become a bit desensitised to it. And one of the things I've kind of seen when presenting people with the information and the facts, people can tend to be angry, and they will sometimes direct the anger at you for bringing it up. When in fact the anger is nothing to do, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just sort of saying, this is the facts, and these are the facts rather.
But what I went on to do, I went on to talk about then how our tax money is being taken from us.
Yes,
forcibly.
Of course.
But that money that we earn is going towards, let's not sugarcoat it, let's just tell it how it is, the murder of people in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars.
Some of it is going to that, yes.
Yeah, a portion of it's going to that, yeah, sorry, not all of it, but a portion of it's going to that.
Yes.
And I'm uncomfortable with that, and I don't think a lot of people are. A lot of people tell me how they're against war in principle.
But the fact is, the government take money through your income tax, and they use that to fund war. That is a fact.
Illegal war as well.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, in the most black and white sense, I can say that we earn money, we get taxed on that money. That money goes to fund war. Not all of it, but some of it, and that makes me very uncomfortable. But I do not have the freedom to walk up to someone and say, okay, I'm not really comfortable with this. I would rather that my earnings did not go towards this. They would laugh at me. They would throw me out the building. But apparently we're as free as anything. So, yeah.
Why do you think it's the distance? Do you think it's because this is happening in a country that people have never ever seen, with people they've never met?
Yeah.
And it's sort of easy for them to dehumanise the situation like it's something that's happening somewhere else. It's almost like a hypothetical situation.
It's all for the greater good. That kind of attitude.
That's another aspect. Yeah, we'll get into that, but we'll get into the sort of greater good aspect. But I think, see, just like from the start, like, do you think it's people find it easier because of the detachment?
Without a doubt. Yes.
Yeah, it's this detachment. It's just these
people. If
people.
this was happening to your next door neighbour, you would be outraged.
Of course. Oh, you would
go straight to the paper.
You'd be on the street
saying this woman is working for nothing. She is kept in horrible conditions. She is made to work 18 hours a day.
See, that's going back to the first point. But like I'm talking about just now. See, like the sort of like the wars in Afghanistan and stuff like that, in Iraq.
Oh, sorry, I thought we were talking about the sweatshop situation.
Yeah, we can start with the sweatshop situation.
Well, I'm just using that as an example of if it's your next door neighbour. But if you're speaking about the war...
No, but you're right, but it is all detachment, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Sorry, you're right, yeah, because like this person in this sweatshop, or this person being killed in this far off country that I've never been to and I'm never going to.
So it's awful, it is awful. it just makes me quite sad that we don't have a say.
Mm-hmm.
People will argue with me and say that, oh, this is a democracy, we do have a say. No, we don't. We don't have a say. I'm sorry. They will. What happens in government? It's never. I'm having kind of a personal problem with this idea that we don't have a say. I just find that such an injustice.
What it is this illusion of a say, because they say you go and vote like every 4 years.
Which, by the way, 4 years is an incredibly long time.
Yeah, but not even that. But it's.
Oh.
But yeah, no, I agree totally. But like,
too long.
And they're saying that old adage is absolutely true when they say you can vote for whoever you like, but the government always gets in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, see if you look at the Labour Party, the Conservatives, the Liberal Democrats, and even the SNP, they're all signed up to the same programme of neoliberal economics.
Yes.
And they're all absolutely fine with all these foreign wars.
Oh, yeah.
Remember in Libya? Remember it was all over the BBC when we first went into Libya? And apart from a few Labour, I'm sure, dissenters, I remember a couple of Labour dissenters, but apart from that, there was like pretty much unanimous on all sides of the House of Commons. It was pretty much unanimous, like agreement of let's go into Libya, and it was all over the news until they got Gaddafi. But see now, there's absolutely no talk of Libya. Why?
Can I bring up something?
I was just going to say, to finish this point. Okay. Why? Because the reason why is because it's a mess now.
Yeah.
Place is a mess.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a lot of contractors that have now got contracts to rebuild the places they bombed the shit out of.
What a coincidence!
That is a coincidence. Just one of those things.
You know what? That is just bloody good luck, isn't it?
It's
that
one
they
of
were
those
there
things
to
that
pick up
happens.
the pieces.
I know. Just a complete coincidence.
Sarcasm.
but that is the thing, So that's why I'm saying, like, just to bring it back to the point, why is it because we've got this distance that we find it easy to disregard human beings? Now, I don't know anyone in Afghanistan.
Nor do I.
I don't. But we were talking about Wal-Mart, we were talking about Bangladesh, and I used to work with a guy in Asda, funnily enough, bizarrely, called Cassie, who was from Bangladesh at the time.
Barney,
I talked to him about it, and that was a really good job for him.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. But like, I know I don't know a lot of people in these countries, but I still feel like they're humans just like the rest of us. They're people too.
Absolutely, of course.
And even though we've got this attachment, doesn't mean that we should be fine with exploiting them.
We shouldn't be okay with it. And I think deep down, everybody is not okay with it. I think if you really delve deep into it, they're not okay with it. You might have those people that say, I don't care, I'm getting the most for my money, value for money and things like that.
Yeah.
But I think if you really grilled them on it, they would not be comfortable with the reality of the situation. But in saying that, you did continue to work for them for a year after you saw that documentary, so it's not always possible. Can everybody? Oh, but this is it, Dan. Can you really live by your morals and your ethics all the time? Some people don't have the luxury of doing that. We don't have the luxury of doing that.
We're getting into something else, but I think you can in little ways, but we'll get into that a bit later.
We'll probably speak about that on a larger scale at some point.
Yeah, what I was going to say is like, it's this fact that we're finding it really, really easy to, I don't know if support's too harsh a word, but to let this kind of abuse take place and just not see it, and well, not even not see it, I mean it's there on our face, but we just sort of don't care about it. And this has always been, I don't know, something that's made me think about it. I know there's all this sort of rubbish about like, we're like, say we're in Iraq and Afghanistan and the reason why we're there is to, quote, protect freedom, end quote, but you know that's complete rubbish.
Well, it was Project Iraqi Freedom.
So yeah, something I did realise that I'd like to come back to was the fact that there is a lot of people there, like that worked in Asda, that weren't. It's not that they felt morally bad about it, it's just that they didn't really want to be working there, so they didn't really want to be a part of the huge Wal-Mart machine.
Yeah, but what was it for that reason?
Well, no. What I'm saying is, they didn't want to be a part of this huge Wal-Mart machine. They were only working there or shopping there because it was easy and it was cheap. Yeah, because they had to, and they didn't really want to be a part of this big thing. But then they criticised the fact that, I mean, like, we'll go back to tax. Let's just go there.
Okay.
I hear a lot of people and they criticise, like, oh, they go, you know, guys in work, Thursday, wage slip comes through, and they have a look at it and they go, this is bullshit, look at how much I'm getting taxed. And it comes up a lot when we get, like, say we get a bonus, like a Christmas bonus, you're supposed to get like 200 quid, and you say to someone, how much is the Christmas bonus? And they'll go, it's about £200, until the tax man taxes the shit out of it. And they're angry in that respect, right? But then you challenge the same person to say, why don't we not have a council, for example? Not even government, let's just start at the local level. Why do we not have a city council? Right? And they're like, no, but your taxes pay for that stuff. And at a national level they go, no, but your taxes pay for the NHS.
Yeah.
But you're like, well, it's
so why do you complain when they take
but they don't.
half your bonus or whatever?
But like I said, and then just to tie it back to Wal-Mart, people that worked in Asda going, oh, some people go, it's terrible what they do. Yeah. But you know, this is the economic system we live in. Yeah. You know, and that's what it is. But then they vote. So they actively perpetrate the system that they claim to despise.
I know.
You know, and they believe in it. So, like, you say...
I would love to see the day where voting day came
and no one voted. Can you imagine the message that would send?
That would send an amazing message.
If absolutely no one voted. See if everyone
We don't need you to tell us what to do. We know what to do. Yeah. There's been government for long enough. People know what to do. They know what's right and wrong. You don't need, every person on this planet is aware of what government is and how government works. So what's the point? It's like...
Here's an interesting question just to jump in.
Like advertising Coca-Cola. Why do you need to do that? Everybody knows what Coca-Cola is.
But they spend millions doing it.
But they spend millions on advertising. What is the point?
Well, exactly.
Bit of a bad analogy, ladies and gentlemen, but I just, that's how I feel right now. So maybe if we go back a little bit, I think we've maybe jumped we've jumped from how the mainstream media steals your compassion to
getting to
war.
The media.
Can I bring up a point that I think is relevant that you talked about in your blog? It's this idea of these television shows like X Factor and one of the great parts of the blog was when you referenced the fact it used to be 4 people. Now, for those of you who are not aware of the previous format for shows like X Factor,
in Britain, but I think
but I think it was the same in America too. It was the same. America's Got Talent. This was the same.
American Idol, and I think it was.
American Idol. I remember. It used to be the judges in a room. So the people would do their audition, and some people would have some people would have their audition shown on TV, and the majority wouldn't. The majority of the auditions went unseen. But now it's like a circus. They parade them out. On the TV show they play this music to sort of set the stage, set the scene for what you're about to see. So if somebody comes on that looks a little bit different, and they've got this jolly, daft little theme tune, kind of there's going to be something funny and humorous, and this person's not quite as talented as they think they are. And that's so sad that now they parade it in front of thousands, millions of people. So...
Yeah, no, absolutely, because that's what I noticed, because we used to watch these kind of shows.
Oh, we were absolutely part of the problem.
And we used to be part of the problem, but then see, when you really think about it, you think that some of these people are actually mentally ill.
Oh yeah.
Some of these applicants, they have, serious mental illnesses. And then it's like you get this group mentality where they become like just a mass of 12-year-olds in a school playground.
Laughing
and pointing at the child that's different. And then see, that's what I'm glad you brought that up, because that's been my problem with this entertainment. You know, there's this kind of, like I said, I call it a slew, I believe, on my blog. A slew of reality TV shows, and the things that they promote are like greed and social Darwinism. We'll get to the Apprentice in a second, but like, you know, it's like greed.
Yeah.
And sorry, you wanted to say something? You want to jump in?
I would like to also bring up this I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. I know that's a show that we often like to watch.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of opinions about this. I'm going to share them with you now. I don't think I've told you these before.
Okay.
I think it's incredibly disturbing, that show.
Yeah.
You lock people in the ground, like in a coffin, and you fill it up with bugs.
Or make them eat insects, as if insects don't come under animal rights now for some reason.
Yeah, as if insects, no, it's fine. You
as if insects aren't animals, like that's okay just to kill, just to eat live insects, like that's just a cool thing you do.
A little thing with his legs flailing around while Jordan shoves it in her gob.
As if,
it's like, incredibly disturbing. It's quite psychotic, actually.
That insect shouldn't have to deal with that.
No, the insect shouldn't have to deal with that.
I wouldn't want to deal with it.
So, no, but on an incredibly serious note, I think it's really disturbing how we dredge up celebs who, quite frankly, I don't want to offend anybody, but these people are often people who are not in the limelight so much anymore, who want to get back into the limelight, and it's incredibly sad that in order to get back to being famous, they have to subject themselves to that kind of abuse. And then At and Deck come on all smiley and cheery and say, right, okay, get on the phones or whatever the hell they do. Again, don't want to offend anyone.
They are a little funny though.
They are quite funny people, but that's part of it.
Yeah.
They're these cute little cheeky chappies with their faces. Call now, costs whatever a minute. Get permission from your parents, all that stuff. You know, you stick a friendly face on it and it's all of a sudden totally acceptable.
Yeah.
To do that. It's mind-boggling.
With the thing, if they are voluntary adults and they want to lie in a coffin, then like fine if that's how they want to spend their time.
But it looks like a lot of the time that's not how they want to be spending their time.
I know, but they do get paid.
They get paid a lot of money to do it.
To be fair,
and they're not
like,
happy
see the thing
it.
about the way they treat animals on that show.
That's disgusting.
It's completely disgusting. And the point I want to make, is that there is this slew of reality TV shows.
Yeah.
And what they promote in such a big way is like they promote greed.
Yeah.
You know, and they promote just looking out for you and nobody else.
Number one, The Apprentice.
Yeah. The Apprentice, yeah, absolutely. The Apprentice is a big thing because it's just such social Darwinism.
Yeah.
In a big way, because it is total survival of the fittest, and it's like, I'm just going to
look out for me.
Yeah, I'll stamp on your face.
I will kill you if you get in my way.
Pretty much, yeah. You know, and that's like rewarded because it's like that. You do this and you shit on everyone else, you'll get ahead.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe you will.
Yeah.
Maybe you will, but why would you want to live your life like that? You know, is the 6-figure salary really worth?
Is it really worth it?
Aye, the way you are, you know, like
even 7-figure salary.
They just
be a millionaire, but people don't think of you in a very high degree.
You've spent your life fucking people over, you know, and you're like, is that really what you want to? Is that how you want to have yourself? Not even just perceived. Like, it doesn't matter how people perceive you.
No, but how you perceive yourself.
Yeah, but as like, it's like they don't think there's any kind of repercussions that come from things like this. You know, you can be as nasty and evil as you want, but along the way you're going to make some enemy who is worse than you.
Yeah.
And he'll bury you, you know.
I know, I think shows like that. But again, you know, me and Dan were absolutely part of the problem.
Absolutely.
For those of you that don't know, we got rid of our, television, a few months ago. And since then, it's been quite liberating not having program TV.
I think about 6 months ago, actually.
I think it was actually now. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I remember. Barney, shush.
Barney's having a grow.
Barney's growling at the
Barney is still with us on the couch as always.
As always, is Barney.
He doesn't have a lot to add, but...
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have a lot to say. But he's here anyway, so...
But yeah, like stuff like The Apprentice and...
I think the most obvious bad one would be Big Brother.
Yeah, I mean, Big Brother started out as like a social experiment, and then it just went off the rails.
That went off the rails in a big way.
That got out of hand very quickly, but
Yeah.
it's still going on Channel 5.
Oh, it's still going.
Yeah.
You know, whatever, how many
It
years
did
later.
get out of hand pretty quickly.
14 years later, it was
Yeah.
2000 when that
What was
started.
supposed to be an initial social experiment, I know it didn't originate in the UK, it originated somewhere else, but I can't remember where.
I
But
wouldn't be able to tell you, maybe was it Sweden?
no, but it did originate somewhere else. But
We will find out, put it in the show notes.
we might, if we can be arsed.
I suppose it's not really relevant. You can Google that. Yeah. But anyway.
But you can't Google now? No. So we're getting onto these TV programmes, we're talking about reality TV, and we're talking about like particular stuff like The Apprentice and stuff. I mean, I'm going to admit this on the air, I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to say I used to watch Jeremy Kyle.
I remember you
I did. And actually, I've obviously I don't watch television anymore, I haven't watched it in a long time. There was a splitness because Jeremy Kyle is like half exploitation and half actually helping people.
Yeah.
Because see, to be fair, they did get a lot of people who are addicted to alcohol and drugs and good rehabilitations. Whether they took it or not was up to them.
Very expensive rehabilitation.
Very expensive rehabilitations.
That
absolutely.
That is the good side of that show.
But there is this. That's why it's always been a contradiction in my mind, because then there is this. Let's point and look at the freak sort of thing.
I think as well, there's been a lot of people say, oh, that sounds like something off of Jeremy Kyle, when you're talking about
become like a social meme.
It's like Jeremy Kyle's reference now in television shows.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of a well-known thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there is a really big element of let's all point at the freak, because a lot of these people that go on Jeremy Kyle are very passionate people. They're incredibly outspoken. Some of them are quite rude, and I'm not saying all of them, because I've seen episodes that are quite heartfelt and incredibly serious. This guy's wee mum is so upset because he's still on drugs, and they want to help them, and it's incredibly heartfelt. Then you have the other side of that, the other side of the spectrum, where it is just people that are going off their head, swearing and shouting at each other, behaving like wild animals, and it's very sad, because people in the audience are laughing, and they're laughing and giggling and saying, "Oh, look at them! Look how low they are." Yeah,
that's why I think I used to like watching it, because
it made you feel good about your life.
Oh, absolutely. See, sometimes you're like, oh man, I don't feel good today. You're coming from work and you feel like shit, and you've had a bad day, and you put on Jeremy Kyle that you've like Sky Plus or whatever, and then you suddenly go, man, I am nowhere near as bad as these people.
And it makes you feel good for a few minutes.
Yeah, it does, because you think someone else's life is so much worse than mine.
It justifies your life decisions. It says, I'm doing okay, I'm not as bad as these people. It justifies it, and makes you feel good.
Would you say it pacifies you a bit?
Pacifies you, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because you sort of think, just for a while, you think, well, because you've got all this stuff, you say, there's all these things I wanted to do, and I wanted to live my life like this, but I don't.
I'm not like that.
Yeah, but at least that guy's he's like way down the mountain.
Yeah.
And I'm at least somewhere around about the middle.
Do you know what another show I think kind of does that?
Yeah.
The Biggest Loser.
Oh, yeah.
We used to watch that. For people that aren't aware of the American version, in America it's slightly different.
It was the American version that we watched.
Yeah, that was the one we watched.
We didn't really watch the British version.
British one was a bit too low key for us.
Katie didn't like she loved the intensity of the American one.
I did love that until I realised it's really quite demeaning.
Yeah.
I'm not saying obesity is wonderful. That's not what I'm saying at all. I myself am quite a large person.
Yeah.
And I, for one, feel better within myself when I'm a bit lighter.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm going to take care of. But I think to make such a spectacle of obesity under the illusion, the smoke and mirrors of helping people, I think that's quite disturbing.
Would you remember one of the first times we saw it, like the way that Gillian and Bob were screaming at people.
People
I kind
were
of said to
throwing
you,
up.
I was like, did like fat people kill their parents?
Do you think their parents were murdered by obese people?
Yeah, this is why they have this rage.
Yeah, towards them.
Because there was this kind of...
It's incredibly disturbing. It's quite psychotic.
I've actually, for Bob, I can't remember his second name, I've got quite a bit of respect for him in certain ways, because, you know, like, I'm interested in yoga myself.
Yes, I know.
I know he's quite proficient in yoga.
He's pretty big in meditation.
Yeah.
You know.
And Gillian,
relaxing.
You remember her?
I remember Gillian Michaels.
Yeah.
The personal trainer. She's
Yeah.
pretty hardcore. Quite frightening to me.
Yeah. Quite terrifying, I find. You know,
I
like,
think if I had
scary.
her screaming at me while I was on a treadmill, I would break down. You know. It's quite disturbing, but they make such a big deal out of it. You're very lucky you're here. So many people want to be here.
But that is a fact in a way.
A lot of people do want the help. I understand that.
Now, if I may speculate for a second.
You may speculate away, Dan.
Just speculate a little bit. I read things online, and I will provide links in the show notes. When that guy stops rudely beeping outside. I will provide links in the show notes to these things I've read, but I have read things from testimonies from former contestants.
Yes.
Saying really bad things about the way they were treated and the way, like...
They would basically dehydrate themselves.
Yeah, they would dehydrate themselves, like not drink water and stuff like that, and they would like starve themselves and stuff, and there was a lot of really crazy accusations. Not crazy in the way like just crazy like I can't believe this, but there was a lot of these accusations coming out, and they're all well documented on the internet, and I'll provide links in the show notes.
Oh yeah.
But there's been quite a few of people who felt that
they were treated quite badly,
and it was actually quite unhealthy what they were doing.
I think that it's relevant to say that reality TV is quite gritty. It's all designed to pacify us, make us not think about what's really happening in the world.
Absolutely, and if we may move on to things like, and I've seen limited amounts of this, but just from what I have seen, things like, let's keep it in Britain, like Geordie Shore, you know, and let's go to America, Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore, Keeping Up with the Kardashians is another one.
Yeah. Keeping
Up with the Joneses, basically, because that's all it is. It's just designed to make us really want things. It makes us want to consume, buy more.
Well, also see from all these kind of programs that I've seen particularly the British ones.
Yeah.
And there is there's a real sort of, it's just an attitude, and I've noticed it prevalent in people that I've met, and it's like this kind of incredibly materialistic sort
absolutely.
Of image-based.
It's okay, it's cute to be dumb.
Yeah, and
Who's
absolutely.
Who's that guy? Joey Essex.
Yeah, and this, he's on,
I don't know where
he's on so much TV. He's got a much larger audience than I'll ever have.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, see people in work thought it was adorable how stupid he was.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. We had other things they thought that was adorable.
Like, did you see that, educating Joey Essex, and they were like, oh, he doesn't know where this is, he doesn't know what that means.
Yeah, like that's adorable.
Adorable.
Yeah, like he's a child or something.
That is fucking stupid.
You should be horrified.
You should be absolutely horrified.
Oh, without a doubt.
That somebody of that level.
Well, of that level, what we mean by
I'm
that level?
acting at this level of.
I like the people that listen to him, as in the crazy amount of millions he has as an audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, it's okay. You don't need to know what's going on in the world, because that's fine. It's really cute. It's actually hot to be a girl and not know what this means, and not know what that means.
Now, if I may put on my tinfoil hat for a second.
I've already got mine on, Dan.
Yeah, so I'm going to put mine on and join you.
Okay.
Don't you think that, like, a lot of people criticise me for being a conspiracy theorist at times, right? But don't you think that, see, if you were in power, if you were running the show, or if you were someone who gave donations, who gave donations to people who were running the show, wouldn't it be great to have popular culture that is so degrading, so stupid, so anti-intellectual? I mean, even Bill Hicks talked about anti-intellectualism in the 90s in
Everything
America.
Bill Hicks said then is still relevant now.
Absolutely.
Don't believe me, look up whatever he said.
Absolutely. So, wouldn't it actually make sense to have a lot of stupid people.
Zombies walking around, basically.
And a lot of them on welfare.
Oh, yeah.
So not only are you feeding them, you're not feeding them any facts. And the state education, you're not teaching critical thinking.
No.
You're teaching them how to obey orders.
How to take orders.
So you're teaching them how to take orders.
Yeah.
And then all the mass media is designed at how cool it is to be anti-intellectual.
Oh, absolutely.
See, if you were running the show, no, let's bring in welfare, and then wouldn't you want a lot of people
to be
no matter even if if they work or not, but in some form to be claiming money off the state?
Yeah.
So there you go. You've got an indoctrinated person who does not critically think, who's been taught it's cool not to care about politics or, not that politics matters, but not to care about any political issues and not to care about anything that actually matters.
Yeah.
And then what happens then?
Nobody will fight you on any decisions you make. You have absolute power.
You've cornered the market.
Yeah.
You've got this perfect citizen who grows up, doesn't critically think,
doesn't argue with you,
doesn't care.
Yeah.
Is not bothered.
And if you can seriously listen to this podcast and say that you still don't care, that you think we're wrong, please tell us.
See, that's the thing. It's never taught that. Never taught that like the coolest thing to be is just a moron.
An idiot.
And we were listening to Len and Honor on Red X Radio. We'll provide links.
Yep.
And he was actually talking about this. This was interesting. He's an African American, and he talks about a lot of the father figures on television.
Yes.
And he talks about that, and he says like they're all idiots basically. I mean, let's look at a few popular shows.
Well, mind that show Modern Family?
Modern Family.
Phil's
a bit of an idiot.
A buffoon.
The
Claire,
Simpsons, Homer.
Yeah.
Claire's a bitch.
Claire is very uptight.
We're talking Modern Family here, so
Modern
Phil's
Family,
a bit of a moron.
And Claire is painted as quite an uptight.
Actually, sorry, I wouldn't say Phil's a moron. I'd say he's more very immature.
A buffoon, I would say, is a bit of
a
silly character.
Actually, buffoon is the word Len and Honor used,
That's
and I think
said.
buffoon
Yeah.
is the best. Yeah, he's a buffoon.
But let's see other fathers. Peter Griffin from Family Guy.
Finish that thought though. Phil's a buffoon. And Claire's a bitch.
No, what I'm saying is it's like she's like his mother.
Yeah. But we see that in a lot of relationships, don't we?
Well, like The Simpsons, Homer is a buffoon and Marge is like
his mother, sorting it out.
Fixing
Let's go to Family Guy.
Lois is always fixing stuff. And some people could say that's just a cartoon, blah blah blah, whatever. Not really. It's pop culture. It's
these memes get into our brains. This idea.
Ideas are what. Everything is ideas. Ideas is what if you watch a program and it it says something that speaks to you, that becomes part of your.
That's the thing. See, when you don't critically think.
Yeah.
When you don't critically think, and let's start from here. When you don't critically think, all you do is just accept the possibility of whatever comes in. Because if you've not got a systematic method of thinking. Then what's going to happen is it's like Richard Grove from TragedyAndHope.com talks about it as like a virus filter for your mind.
Yeah.
So if you don't critically think, then you'll just accept all the information that comes in.
Oh yeah.
Like all the programs that come in, any virus, whatever, you'll just accept what comes in, and you'll just deal with it because you haven't learned to critically think. So you don't have this virus program. And that's the problem, because if you're watching like all these kind of different sitcoms or whatever, all you're going to do is you don't think about how that relates to society, how that relates in reality, and how that might be programming us to think. That's not going to come up in your mind.
Yeah.
The only thing you're going to think about is, oh well, this is a good show and it's funny, so that doesn't matter. But in your subconscious, you're going to get all these memes, all these ideas that have been presented to you.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to get.
Absolutely.
And that's going to stay in your subconscious.
And that is how the mainstream media deals with compassion.
Well, that's how it does it. Because you go into a slightly hypnotic state when you watch television.
That's true. Yeah,
because of the flickering. you know. And no, it's absolutely true. Because the flicker, you go into this slightly hypnotic state, and you're way more suggestible, and that's why the adverts are always louder. You know, and then we've got stuff like neuromarketing. Yeah, that's the thing now. Neuromarketing is a big deal now, and this goes all the way back to the 20s when Edward Bernays, who was Sigmund Freud's nephew, and he wrote his book Propaganda. You know, that's why in America they had the same in Britain. It used to be the Department of War, and then it became the Department of Defense, and then
it's basically making things sound a lot lighter and less harmful than they are.
Absolutely, and see language. You know, people like George Orwell knew about language in a big way. Because see, if you read 1984, if you read 1984, he was talking about newspeak. You know, he was talking about if the people don't have a word for revolution,
it can't exist.
Then what is it? Then how do they know what it is? Because I've read a lot of things about people adults who never learned to read, and they thought more visually. But we think more textually because we've learned to read at a very young age. And I'm not saying, obviously, reading's a brilliant thing.
Oh yes, it's essential.
Yeah, it's the most important thing there is. But that's what I've heard. I've heard it talking Tragedy Hope and a lot of things. They say that reading without critical thinking is tyranny. Because you have to critically think. But
I agree.
Going back to Edward Bernays, there was the thing about the Torches of Liberty. And that was, you know, this thing, it was supposed to be a feminist protest in New York. All these, because at that time women lighting cigarettes, like smoking cigarettes in public, was not considered publicly desirable. And they got all these women to stand in Times Square, I'm sure it's Times Square, and
we'll need to check that, but
and smoke all these cigarettes. Lucky Strikes.
Was it not the guy that...
Lucky Strikes, and Edward Bernays had already cut this deal.
With
right?
Lucky Strikes.
And then it was presented in the paper as Torches of Freedom. Like, this was a feminist stand-up for their rights, but it wasn't. It was just an excuse to get more women smoking and buying cigarettes, and that's all it was. So we have to be savvy to this, because see, this kind of propaganda, it goes on, and it's like some people think that propaganda is something the Soviets did, or something the Nazis did.
It's advertising.
It's ongoing.
I know.
It's absolutely ongoing, and it keeps going. But it's going now in more of a scary direction because it's got this neuromarketing feel. You know, but I think we've covered pretty much most of what's going on in the blog. You know, I would advise you to read the blog. It'll be available in the show notes. Just go to greeningoutpodcast.co.uk and you'll find it under Dan's blog. And it's called How the Mainstream Media Stole Your Compassion.
Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Just to get to a conclusion here, have you got any final thoughts?
No, I think we've covered everything I wanted to cover. I really enjoyed the blog, Dan. I thought it was really good. I just read it a couple hours ago, so I agreed with you. And I think that it's incredibly accurate.
I think we would like feedback if anyone's actually interested.
If anyone's listening, if anyone's out there,
that would be cool.
That would be cool.
Or what you think. But again, so thanks for listening. The website is www.greeningoutpodcast.co.uk. Please feel free to share us on any social media and look at our bookshop on our website.
That's how we pay for the podcast. We sell second-hand books.
Absolutely, buy a second-hand book. There's a lot of good ones, a lot of hardbacks on there, fiction, non-fiction, so see anything you like.
Have a look.
Absolutely, buy a second-hand book. It really helps support the podcast. So,
alright, thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.